Sir is a very well-known figure for his teaching as well as administrative ability. He has he graduated from College of Engineering Technology, Bhubaneswar, Orissa, and did his masters from NIT Rourkela, then PhD from Sambalpur University. Around 30 years of teaching experience and uh, almost 20 years of research in the domination of robotics, flexible manufacturing, additive manufacturing, non-conventional machining, etc. So we are very much fortunate to have him for this particular session. Sir will be speaking on design for additive manufacturing, design for 3D printing. So I request sir to start the session. Please, sir.
So, this is visible. So, good morning. So, am I audible to all of you?
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So, here we are in the end of this FDP, and you must have been tired while listening this remanufacturing, rapid prototyping, and all those things. So, today I will deal with a very small topic, that is design for additive manufacturing, and this will tell you how to go for the appropriate technology, appropriate machine, appropriate material for rapid manufacturing or for additive manufacturing. So let me start with a little bit of the basics of this additive manufacturing. And this is defined as the process of joining materials to make objects from 3D model data. Okay. And it is layer by layer. And this is the just opposed to the subtractive manufacturing methodology or any traditional machining system. So far you know that this is an additive manufacturing one, that the material are being added rather than subtracted in your conventional machining using a lathe shaping machine or by using some laser means, laser machining or electrochemical machining. You remove material, here you add the material. That is why the name is additive manufacturing. And people call it in many names. Okay. That is, it started in fact with the rapid prototyping. Then it took the name of 3D printing, then rapid manufacturing, additive manufacturing, and so many things are there. But all the things are same. All the things are same. And what is the process? The general process is that first, if we want to make a coffee cup like this or a teacup like this, so it consists of generally 8 processes. First, you have to build up the 3D CAD model. From the CAD model, you have to convert it to the STL file, the STL AMA file, all those things. And after you convert this file, you transfer it to the machine, concerned machine. STL file is a general file format, which is being accepted by most of the machines or all of the machines. Then you transfer it to the machine, set the desired parameters, and build the material. After building this, you have to go for some removal and post processing of stuffs that is being, or the support that those are attached to the part to be produced. Then after post processing, it can be applied or it can be used. But the main advantage lies in the fact that You do not need so much of machining, so much of assembly. You get the part directly, which is printed layer by layer. That is the main beauty of this additive manufacturing process. Now, why should we go for the additive manufacturing process? What are the key benefits or the key are the pros of this additive manufacturing? It's design complexity and freedom. Okay. The design complexity, you can generally it takes months together to make a part which is very complex in design. Because so many projections, so many races, so many holes and all those things. So this takes, but here in this case, because this is dependent upon the cross section is printed, so this can print any complex part. Speed means if you go for the general design procedure, then you have to define the problem. You have to go for the CAD model, initial model, then final model, then synthesis, analysis. All those things you carry out, it takes months together. But in this case, and when you produce this, also you have to go for the machine setup and all those things. So it takes a lot of time. But in this case, it is directly once you make the 3D model directly, you can print it directly. You can get the final product. Then this is mass customization. Mass customization means you can produce a lot of parts of individual needs and requirements in small batches. Small batches, you can produce this. So you can customize a lot of parts together. And toolless, there is no tool is required. There is no tool where there is no machining where there is no heat generation due to this tool and all those things. So this is a key benefit of this additive manufacturing. Then lightweight, and there is lightweight design because we work with the lightweight metals of polymers and plastics. So this becomes lightweight, having the same strength or required strength. And also this is sustainable or environmentally friendly. Okay, environment friendly. So because we use the standard materials, mostly 90% of standard material, so this creates very less waste. Generally, in our general subtractive manufacturing, generally the waste is more. There is a, and in addition, what we get, the fumes and dust particles, all these, that's they create some health hazards. So this is sustainable or environmental friendly process. And because we want to go for the make to order things, sort of thing, then in that case, we do not need to store the material as soon as you get the order. So you can print it and deliver it within hours or within some few days. You can deliver this one. So there is no question of any storage, and hence we need not bother about the storage of the material. Okay. Now there are some limitations, or you can some issues you can say must be addressed, and this may be your research agenda. But when you study deeply into the process or final product, or if you go for the microanalysis of the final part, in that case, the accuracy is a question. There is a question, the accuracy of the part is questionable because the metal print either the point plus minus 0.1 mm in accuracy. So it means that there are some error. When the accuracy is 0.01 mm, it is not 0.01 or 001 mm. So there is some scope or there is some room for the error. So some of the plastic materials, they come with the accuracy disclaimer because they are not able to print accurately. That is why they can ask for some disclaimer that this may not be accurate. So accuracy is a question, and how this can be taken care of, we'll discuss subsequently. Another problem is that you have to remove the surface material, and sometimes this needs a secondary operations, which is not desired in case of the additive manufacturing. Okay. Another point or another issue to be addressed is the considerable effort required for application design for setting process parameters, because this is a newer field, and every day we are getting newer and newer material and newer conditions, processing conditions. So it's very tough to fix the process parameters, and because the process parameter, the accuracy and the functionality, the strength, etc., will depend upon the process parameter. This to be studied. Gradually, this also can be set. This tempo can be set for a particular process and for a particular material to obtain the desired target or desired performance. And this is because material cost is today very slightly greater than those from the traditional manufacturing. Why this is so? This is because this is the use of this additive manufacturing is not yet been explored. Okay. And this is still in infant stage, and that is why the cost is more. So when there will be more use, obviously the metal cost will reduce. Okay. And metal properties, because we have nearly 100 to 120 materials are being used. Okay, more materials are need to be used, and we are yet to know the tensile properties, tensile strength, yield strength, and fatigue. And full characterization has not been done yet. So you can work on this, and you can this can be the either you can call it a drawback, you can call it a limitation, or you can take it as a agenda for research because these things are to be explored. And some other limitations are the intellectual property issue, IPR issues, size limitation. In fact, this is a great limitation because we have got mostly nowadays the industrial RP machines are coming up, but earlier it was only the educational RP machines. There was a limitation of size. Till now there is a limitation. You cannot print large parts or you cannot print industrial parts. Okay. This is another limitation. Cost of the printer. This is issue. This is because these are manufactured in small volume. That is why the cost of the printers are very high, and which cannot be you cannot afford the cost of the printer for your general purposes. Okay. And unchecked production of dangerous items. So there is no rule, no law, no regulations there, so that you can produce anything which are also dangerous. So there are two issues, legal issues. One you can say the intellectual property issue, another is the production of the some of the dangerous items. So these are in fact globally this is to be controlled. But now you can have the research issues on the material, you can have the research issue on support material removal, you can have the research issue, or you can have the research agenda on this question of accuracy. You can work on that. Now see, what are the linkages in additive manufacturing? So the part is to be produced. You need a CAD model. On the CAD model, either you can use any standard CAD model using CATIA, SolidWorks, etc. Or nowadays, the companies also, along with the printing software, they are giving this CAD software, so you can have your part. And after this part, you can go for the CAD design, then translate the CAD, and next think of the material. This is once you get the CAD design, you can go for the material and its properties. Then what are the physical properties of the material that is to be printed? Then you have to analyze the chemical properties of the material, and then you prepare for the building or prepare for the printing. Then verify the file. And to verify the file, you can see how these are linked to one another. If any one of these fails, then the whole system will fail. Then file verification, orientation support. This is the topic today. How to get this orientation and all those things. Then you have to fix the parameters. How to fix the printing parameters. This is of course a machine dependent sort of thing. It depends upon the machine on which you are going to work or on which you are going to print. Then the build process, and in this build process, build the part, and post processing. This is generally cleaning the support, cleaning and the removal of the support. This is manual one. Then post curing and then directly then it can be used, or this can be to application, the desired application. Okay. So we start with like the process, start with the CAD design, and finally after the post processing it can be used. And you can see the linkages all the subfunctions or the subfunctions are interrelated. The functional areas are interrelated to each other. Okay, so this creates the linkage in AM. Now, what are these? What are the common processes? You must have discussed some of the processes, but the most common processes are either they are liquid based, they are powder based, or they are solid based. Okay. So when this is liquid based, this may be either DLP or stereolithography or jetting system. What is the fundamental behind this? The stereolithography, because there will be photopolymer resin, and over which you can put the laser source and you get the cure, get the curing on the desired part. But in case of this is similar to that one, the stereolithography, but the difference is that it is not using the laser source, rather this uses some arc lamp or the conventional light. That is why this is the DLP. And then the jetting system, we need we use some adhesive or we need some uh, binder, so that, and the binder is sprayed into the bed, and these binders are sprayed, so that become the jetting system. Okay. So you can see what are the difference in material and what are the difference in process. Always they are being put layer to layer. Okay. So AMA, this AM is what we know that it's additive manufacturing. Also, this is called the layer manufacturing. You put one layer, put another layer. Okay. So there are some powder based. This powder based, we have got the SLS of the selective laser sintering, 3D printing, fused metal FDM system, electron beam melting, selective laser melting, and all these are the powder based. So when there is a powder based system, the powder is put onto a bed, and the source of heating is applied to that. It may be a laser, then it may be an electron beam. Okay. So you need a heat source, and that heat source will cure the material, and you get the desired part. This is the powder based and liquid based. Another solid based is that your FDM, that is also the extrusion based setup. Okay. A pool or a wire pool will be there, and the wire pool will be extruded, and the heat source will be there, so that it can fuse and it can cure. Okay, the common material is the, or the common process is the fused deposition modeling. Okay. And another method, that is the sometimes what you do is that layers of paper, plastic, or metal having the adhesive coating, they are placed one over another one. They are placed in layers, and you get the desired part. And the undesired part are cut by the laser source or by any cutting method. We can cut that one. So these are the processes. Those are still in use nowadays. Now we'll see what is the design for additive manufacturing. You are conversant with the design of manufacturing or DFM, conversant with design for assembly or DFA. Okay, similarly, we will another term, that is DFAM, that is design for additive manufacturing. What you do in the design for manufacturing, you fix the rules and guidelines for traditional manufacturing methods, or what you find out what are the best practices for manufacturing a part. That is the design of manufacturing. Similarly, what are the best practices so that the assembly can be easier? Okay. This looks for the ease in assembly into early design with reduced cost. Two things here we focus in the DFA or DFM. That that is, first one is the cost, and that is another one is the ease in manufacturing or ease in assembly. These two things. Similarly, DFM and DFA cannot be used for designing additive manufacturing because it has a new way of producing the part. The way of producing part in conventional manufacturing is different than the way of manufacturing, producing part in case of additive manufacturing. That is why you have to set the rules and guidelines for additive manufacturing methods. And these rules and guidelines will be different for different processes. It may differ from, also may differ for different materials. Okay. So this depends upon the process, the design of the final part, and also the material. So here small example is there. You can see that original design was like this. Some material was removed, the topology was optimized, the geometrical shape and size that is optimized, and this is redesigned. Function remains same as the original part. And however, here the mass is reduced, the material is reduced, hence the cost is reduced. But without compromising with the functions, without compromising with the strength. Okay. How this can be achieved? And why should you go for the TFM, design for additive manufacturing? First one is that this is design and manufacture complex geometries to meet mass and performance goals. Mass and the performance goals. Here, whenever a term complex is coming in manufacturing, obviously the easiest process of manufacturing complex is additive manufacturing. And you must go for the optimized design. Having this lightweighting, lattice design, internal channels for air and fluid flow, etc. This is to be taken care of when we are going for the complex developments. Reduced assembly complexity. So we can consolidate many parts. This is one of them. All these are, we'll discuss how to consolidate multiple parts. We'll see the examples of consolidation of parts. They reduce the development time when you reduce the number of parts, or when you reduce the shape and size, obviously the time is reduced, the development time is reduced. No tooling is required. No tooling is required. So many tools are required in conventional manufacturing. Here we do not require any tool. Okay. And here this gives the designer the flexibility to push the limits of engineering design and overcome challenges of conventional design. Means there is a freedom in design in case of this additive manufacturing, because we do not need to set the machine, we do not need different tools and all sort of things related to conventional manufacturing. That's why we go for the design for additive manufacturing. Cycle time is reduced, optimize high strength, light resist structure. And this opens up, most important is this opens up a new door in the era of Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 means here 4.0, this is based on the cyber physical system. So obviously when we are going for a fully automated system like additive manufacturing, obviously this can be within the domain of the cyber physical system. It means you may be sitting somewhere else and the production will go somewhere else. Okay. So Internet of Things, you can have all this. So this opens the era for the Industry 4.0, or this promotes, you can say, or this promotes the implementation of Industry 4.0. Then, what are the different complexities? When you talk about the design of additive manufacturing, you must design what are the complexities. This part, the final part is complex in shape. The material may be complex, or the hierarchy may be complex. So generally, three complexities are defined in case of additive manufacturing. This is shape complexity. So whether the shape is there, now what will be the lot sizes, what are the geometry, and what are the orientation, in which orientation there will be a requirement of superstructure, and in which orientation there will be no requirement of superstructure, or there is minimal requirement of superstructure. It depends upon the shape complexity. Now, the material complexity, here, the material can be processed one point or one layer at a time, enabling the manufacturer of parts with complex material composition and design property gradients. Different materials can be used at different layers, but this is till now to be used still now to be used, but in many industries they are now trying to have this to overcome this material complexity. Now hierarchical complexity, that this multi-scale structure can be designed and fabricated from the microstructure geometric mesostructure. This is mesostructure means size in millimeter range to the part scale macrostructure. So this hierarchical complexity deals with the multi-scale structure. Okay. And this multi-scale structure can be defined at different levels in the macrostructure level, and this is through the geometric mesostructure. Okay. In millimeter range to the original macro range, you can move to millimeter to meter or meter range depending upon the capability of the machine. However, the most complexity that is put by the first two, that is the shape complexity and material complexity, and our discussion will be based on these two type of complexity, how to go for the design of this. In the DFM tools and strategy, what are the tools and what are the strategy? One is CAE, computer-aided engineering, another is CAD, and then you need to have this CAD CAE interface, and you need a little bit of a lot of process simulation, rather a lot of process simulation before going for final building or final printing. Ability to design and manufacture parts which are optimized for mass and performance with minimal DFM. Okay. Now this gives rise to, let us suppose your the objective is to build a part. Keeping in view all this complexity, what you need a software, need application, take care of the same. You go for the CAD design, and now you go for various alternatives. What will be the orientation of the part? With the orientation of the part, so that the support structure is minimum. So when the support structure is minimum, now next point we can talk about is that what will be the type of support, what type of support that will be required. For that, you need the CAE tool. Okay. All these are the FEA for analysis purpose, you need a FEA tool. But for the CAD structure, you need a CAD software, and also simultaneously you have to go for orienting this one, that is called the topology of optimization. Optimization in shape and size, and simultaneously you have to study the orientation. So you need the several software tools to go for this one. Some are the Siemens NX Raster, Unigraphics, Autodesk, all these they are having their FEA and optimization capability. And also there should be some interface between the CAD and CAE. The interface is required whenever you go for the analysis of the material property, the heat transfer, and all this and topological optimization. So there must be, suppose you are going for a 3D design and you need to remove some metal, you have to go for the topological optimization. Means you need to remove the material and it can be replaced by some truss. So that metal is, the mass is reduced there. So in that case, what you need a interface between the CAD, means the modeling software, CAD modeling software, and also the CAE of the analysis software. You need a strong interface between these. And if you can simulate the whole process, starting from CAD to final printing, and after that, what will be the required strength and the required performance of the part. Okay. And within these two, first is CAD and last is the post processing. In between, there is design of what will the print direction and what will the thermal distillation, what are the support structure. All this comes within these two. And if you can simulate this one, okay, then it will be, you will get a flawless or errorless output of a part. And most commonly, there are various softwares or various tools by which you can analyze all these things. Now, see the process flow. How this flows. First is you find out the packaging and tooling requirement and optimize the design that is coming from CAD. Then integrate the design with the CAE and print, simulation and preparation. Then you manufacture. Within this, you can have during this optimization, you can have the material modeling, you can have the topology optimization, okay, and you can have the unified platform versus the software integration, this design optimization. And during this print simulation and preparation, you can have post-print thermal distortion, print direction, support structure, print failure, all these you can study there. And finally, you can manufacture. So the design part will come in this. Here, in the design optimization and the design integration, and also in the simulation when you design the support structure. Next, you can see the methods for DFAM or the method for design for additive manipulation. Now we can see this diagram here. This similar diagram already we've seen. If the optimization is the topology optimization. Initially, you can see there was a 3D model and where the material was filled inside that one. Then part B, material is removed, and this is being subjected to the FE analysis, finite element analysis, and wherever required, the stress and strain was calculated, and finally the design was built. You can see at C. So if you compare A and C, if you compare A and C, you can see here the mass is more. So when the mass is more, your building time is also more, printing time is also more, cost is also more. But in this other case, if you start this one, the mass is reduced, building time is reduced. Only one more thing is added, that is you need the support structure to take care of the shallow parts. You can have this, take care of the shallow parts. Need some additional support material. Okay. But till then, we can consider this better than the first one. Because the topology is optimized, we get the same strength and same functionality, but cost is reduced, the mass is reduced, and the time is reduced. Then latticing. What is latticing? This is a cellular structure. Different cellular structure we'll see. So a solid structure, if you remove it or you can replace it by a cellular structure, again the objective is to reduce the mass. Or you can, if you make it a cellular structure, you can have different cell structure and you can get different strengths at different directions. So this gives the design freedom to designers to use the lattice structure on macro scale and major scale for required properties. Properties can be verified or varied with the help of this cellular structure. An example is given. This is topology optimization lattice structure given to skateboard truck that's made up of titanium, and the hip prosthesis. You can see sources and NCs. So this part you can see one part is that is having the lattice structure. What are the latticing or what are the lattice structure? Another concept is the part consolidation. So this part consolidation is aims at eliminating or reducing the number of parts or sub-assemblies and consolidate all the parts in one production batch. What are the advantages? This reduces manufacturing cost, reduces the time, design time, reduces the print time, increase the material strength, and also improves the performance. Part consolidation means several parts can be substituted by a single part. Some example you can see here. This is an example. These aviation's helicopter engine. How many parts were there? There were 900 separate components, and the 16 including one segment previously had 300 parts. Okay. The number of parts reduced. The printed parts were 40% lighter, 60% cheaper, and exceeded the requirement of NOx emission by 50%. The parts you can see, the 900 separate parts cover just to convert it to 16. Okay. And the reducing the separate component to just 16, including one segment previously had 300 different parts. One segment was 300 parts, but the total part was reduced to 16. And what are the benefits we get? We got the benefit that it was 40% lighter, 60% cheaper, and the NO2 or NOx emissions were reduced. NOx emissions were reduced by 50%. And if you think of that in a traditional way, they needed 10 to 15 suppliers because number of parts are more. Okay. Another tolerances and other things like nuts, welds, and presses, nothing is required. Only you need a 3D printing machine and it print the and assemble these things. Okay. Using AIM technology, process is simplified a lot. This is one example. Another example is that master space flight centers rocket fuel injector. This was having how many parts? It's 200 parts. But when you adopted additive manufacturing, the parts were just two in number. And you can see the 3D printed rocket in the figure. You can see the 3D printed rocket injector. Okay. As built part with the support, and B after the support is removed. First one that is the with support. Second, now when the support is removed, then this looks like this. So this was an assembly of nearly 200 parts, and now we could manage with only 2 parts when we are adopting the additive manufacturing. So this is called the parts consolidation, and this is important aspect of design, how to consolidate the part. Then design for mass customization. For example, you can see there some similar curves. Mass customization is seen in medical industries, where devices such as individual braces, prostheses, the surgical guides are designed to match patient anatomy. So this is mass customization means you can have several batches, and this differs from, let us suppose, for example, you are having need some prosthesis, medical prosthesis. This differs from person to person. This differs from person to person. Only you need to change the CAD model, and you can print this one. You change the CAD model, and you print this one. So this can be customized according to our need. According to our need. Okay. This is called the mass customization. Multi-material design. In a PolyZ 3D printer, you can have the parts with the multiple materials or functional graded products can be produced using AM technology, like a metal jet and FDM. Different metals can be fused together, or they can integrate together so that you can get multi-material design. An example is a sports shoe having different material being printed. Okay. Not the whole thing is printed. Some of the parts, the sole is printed, and other materials this can be integrated together. Okay. The currently some technology offer only homogeneous material, that is powder bed fusion. Okay. But nowadays we are having also this multi-material design. More than one metal can be printed, but number of jets should be more than one also. There are several jets, and then they need to be accordingly so that you get the design. So we talked about some lattice and cellular structure like this. You will see that why we need this. After having all this part consolidation latticing, you need some cellular structure. The word here is cellular structure. What are those cellular? In the cellular structure, you can see These are porous structure having ability to distribute materials in ideal location to enhance the mechanical performance, such as high strength to weight ratio, high transfer capacity, thermal insulation, and energy absorption. What is the cellular structure? These are, can see the first one, second one, the first one. These are interconnected network of support, solid support. And the cell topology, shape, and size, this influence the properties of the cellular structure. Mostly the cellular structure are used in support one, used for the support. Okay. And by there are mainly 4 types of cellular structures are defined. One is a foam, you can see there, honeycomb structure, lattice structure, and some other constructions. Here in the most commonly used is the lattice structure. But all other things are having their own specific applications. The cellular structure. This is what we can say. This you have to define during the design that which type of structure is required to support the final window. Now, there are some more definitions that the common AM cellular structures are categorized based on the uniformity of cell connectivity. Here you can see, here this is octagon, the connectivity is having octagonal one. Then a cubic stress, open cell, and here you can see this is called the periodical lattice structure. Different structures are there. And each structure can be used for you to take the decision that which structure will be most suitable for your process or for your part, depending on the complexity of the part. Okay. And this structure can be created by choosing the shape and size of the cell unit. You can make it small, you can make it large. Okay. And also there is possibility of optimization and modeling are used to design cell structure. You can optimize it against maximum bulk coefficient, thermal expansion, negative Poisson's ratio, and other mechanical and multifunctional properties. These are the cell structure. These cell structures are mostly used for the supports to build the material. Now, what are the different materials those are commonly used? We know that we use metal, we use polymers and plastics, composites, ceramics, concrete, and a comparison of different metals. Now, here, what is the design aspect? The design aspect is that which material will be suitable for that particular part, which will be designed to have a particular performance or a particular function. Accordingly, you can select the material. The material selection depends upon your strength of the part that is required, wear and tear of the part that is required, environment where it is to be used, and what will be the conditions of heat. All these things if you take, then you can go for it, or you have to select the proper material for the particular application or the particular part that is to be selected. Okay. Then one is the support structure. Now, when is we discuss this one, either this can be made this common the cellular structure. This is required for, or this can be have. This can be utilized for the topology optimization as well as for the support. And for the support structure, so what will be the design strategy? There are orientation of the part during the building process. Means you have to think that in which orientation there will be minimum or no requirement of the support structure. Minimum or no requirement of the support structure. That you have to, this is first consideration of or design consideration. Yeah. And also another consideration, you design or build the part in such way that no support is required. This is called the self-supporting. This is called self-supporting. And this depends upon the process and or the material support structure. I can see a table. In this table, you can see first is that photopolymerization. In this case, the liquid photopolymer in a vat is selectively cured by light activated polymerization. Be laser source and a light source. The common technology are stereolithography, solid ground curing, liquid thermal polymerization, and so many things are there. The material is photopolymer in stereolithography one. The question is, compare the first two. In the stereolithography, your material used is photopolymers, which is being subjected to some light source or the laser source. And for polymerization, then does this technique need a support structure? The answer to this question is yes. Why we need this one? This is for printability and for the part balance. For the part balance, we need support. Now, in the second method, you can see the solid ground curing SCGM. Again, we use the photopolymer. We do not require the support, because this is dependent upon, as I told, that either this depend upon the process or depend upon the material. In this case, during the solid ground curing, we do not require any support. Similarly, in material jetting, we do not require a support. When the liquid material is there and droplets of build material are selectively deposited, so there is no support one another layer, and that is cured. So this becomes a part solid and do not require a support material. Okay, but here in most of other things you require the support material. And the table continues. For this is for different processes for binder jetting, material jetting, powder bed fusion, material extrusion, and directed energy deposition, slit lamination, all those things you require. Yes or no, either required, and if at all you require, what for you require, that you have to see while going for design for additive. Okay. What are the support structure method? One is optimal part orientation. You can have sacrificial or soluble material as support. Means after the process, the material cannot be used, that will be sacrificed. Support structure optimization, support bath, others. Okay, these are the different support structure method by which you can make or you can create one optimized support structure. You can see example a T part. You can see this is based on the orientation. A T part is there. If you see the figure A, so when the orientation here will be the flange, the base will be upside down. In this case, the green lines are the supports. Okay, you require supports here. And when you make just rotate it by 90 degree, you get another orientation. And here you require less support as compared to A. Let us call it orientation 1, orientation 2, and orientation 3. In the third orientation, the A is made upside down. Here there is no need of any support. Directly you can build this. Okay. So this is one important design aspect. In design aspect, you must study before going for the printing or before going for the final design. Other things, the sacrificial one. Here you can print the supports with different materials which are soluble some way. And support structure optimization. These are optimized against material, minimize the material usage and minimize the build time and cost. That is to be studied. Support baths. This thing here during the printing process, the printed parts are stabilized by support bath. Here some gel-like things will be there, and you have to inject this into the gaps, so they will act as support, and this needs the external force. This must be injected, and the fluidized support material fills any crevices in its wake and then returns to the gel-like behavior. Means a gel sort of thing will be injected, which will work as a support material. And after the print is over, this can be removed, but this cannot be reused. This cannot be reused. Okay. Now you can see the different structure, the support methods. This one is a lattice support. This one is a lattice support. This is the unit cell support. You can say this is used for the suitable technique is metal additive manufacturing process. Generally, we go for the cell supports. We'll see the different types of cells. Lattice. Another one, this cellular support. This is for silica laser melting. This is the structure. For FDM, you can come the honeycomb support. Okay. This is another type of supports in sparsity support. This is for FDM or DLP, digital light process. And tree-like, this is another type of support. It can be applied when required. Then space efficient branching support, when no space is available, this can have this support. Then the bridge support, the support bridge like this. And this is Y support. You can see the inverted Ys are there. Here this Y support is there. Here the supports are inverted. And pin support, these are the pin supports. And these are different grain supports which can be different type of supports. So my point here is that the why I was discussing so much on support structure means this is a point, or this is an area in which you can reduce the cost. Okay. And in this design aspect, you can reduce the cost as well as you can reduce the time, and simultaneously you can have an error-free final product. Error-free final product. There will be no thermal distortion. There will be proper diffusion or proper fusing, proper curing of material, and proper stability of the material. All this because this depends upon the support material. Now, some designing guideline for metals. They told that this depends upon the different methods as well as for different materials. We'll take a case of selective laser melting, and this is we use the metal there, and we are going to learn what is metal printing and what is the residual stress when you print metal. Metal is having one difficulty, that is when this is being solidified. When this is being solidified, this is subjected to stress. Okay. And how this build orientation can be taken care of. These are some guidelines. The guideline is that we can print wall thickness for most of the metal is 0.4 mm. Okay. And for metal, this is 0. This is a thumb rule, you can say. But again, this is dependent on the material orientation and other process parameters. Another rule is that minimum reliable pin diameter is 1 mm. The pin diameter that can be built up for metal is 1 millimeter. We cannot go less than that. We can print holes diameter from 0.5 to 6 mm without support. But when it is more than 6 mm, then you have to go for the supports. The required support structure to be able to print it successfully. Okay. You can see this one. These are some of the guidelines, design guidelines you must keep in mind when going for the DFM. Then you can see the escape is there. There is escape hole which is required to remove the unmelted metal powder. This is metal powder, and this is being laser engines used. Whichever is not used, that can be removed from this part. So we need a escape hole, and the recommended diameter for this escape hole is 2 to 5 millimeter. Next one is minimum for when the overhang is uh, more than 45 degrees, then we require a support structure. If it is less than that one, we do not require any support structure. Then length to part section is 8.1 to ensure the stability of the part. It should not be more, otherwise it will be unstable. The column effect and all sort of thing. Now, part tolerance in Z direction is plus minus 1 mm layer thickness, and the XY plane is 0.1 to 7 am. These are some of the thumb rules, and these are being suggested based on various experiments that have been seen. Now, what is the residual stress? Now you can see at the bottom there is substrate material or the solid material. And when you start with the pool, the melt pool, one layer over the other layer, okay, there is a difference in stress. When this is being solidified, there are the shrinks, and due to the shrinkage, it can cause a shear stress. It can cause a shear stress. Here in this right hand side, you can see. And it's contraction from the side, and it can cause shear with respect to the other layer or the adjacent layer. This can cause a shear. And when this is being solidified, this remains as a residual stress. Okay, and whenever the residual stress is there, then we cannot say that this is stress free or this can be used or this is free from any deformation. This is free from any deformation because some residual stress is there. And this residual stress, this increase with the increase in the height of the part. As the height will be more and more, then the residual stress will be more because each layer will be subjected to some kind of shear stress. Now, what will be the effect? You can see the possible effect of this residual stress. This can crack at different layers. Now, to avoid this one, we need to design the appropriate cooling method or solidification method. Okay, and gradually how this can be cooled, because we are not performing any post-processing operation, a secondary operation for this one, like heat treatment and all those things we are not performing. But here we can control it during cooling. Okay. And this is only applicable to the metal parts. For plastics and polymers, we do not have the such problem of this residual stress. Okay. Now, how to reduce this? The method to reduce the residual stresses. Here the gradient during cooling and all those things you are talking about. Here you can avoid this during the design also. Part design, avoid large cross-section areas. Avoid the sharp edge of the part providing fillet or rounding it off. Okay. This is one design guideline to avoid the residual stress. Scan line, thermal gradient, and residual stress to reduce when laser scanning strategy like this. These patterns to be Minder, stripe, and checkerboard patterns are to be used. You can say if the scan rotation is 6 to 7 degrees between the 67 degrees the layers. Here you can say A is a Minder design, is a stripe design, is a checkerboard pattern. Okay. So when you scan the laser with the heat source, either this can be scanned in this manner, so that there will be less effect of this heat during the cooling. And the build platform is increase the platform layer thickness and increase the platform temperature on which the building is taking place. If you increase the temperature, and gradually all the things will simultaneously or solidify simultaneously, and all the layers will solidify simultaneously, and there will be less effect of this difference in stresses. These are different types of build orientation. The T structure we were discussing earlier. This is the build direction, we need the support. This is another direction, this is another direction. And there are so many directions. You can have this 6 build direction for this. So in this case, you have to look into that which direction or which orientation will be suitable for the build direction. And the actual layer geometry of each layer and therefore can affect directly the part quality, time and cost. Don't think that the material is same, the volume of material is same, it will take the same time. No, this depends upon the orientation also. How to orient the part, the build time will be, the cost will be dependent on this, the build orientation. Here, some features of the overhang features less than 45 degrees required to support structure. If it is so, design in such way that this is less than 45 degree, and if it is more than 45 degree, it's less than 45 degree, 45 required for support structure. If support is not provided, it will generate rough surface due to partially sintering of powder below overhang, resulting from slower cooling of the weld. This will be the right one. This make it more than 45, less than 45 required the support structure. We should ideally orient the part which will self-support. This will reduce build cost and processing. Okay. Obviously, it is there, but overhang should be more than 45 degree, or otherwise you need support. Local minima. How this is? The local minima is defined as the area of the part that is not connected to layer. You can see the red marked part that is not connected to any layer. So what will happen? If support is not provided to this, the part will not be built and it will get carried away with the recoater. And suppose a powder is there, recoater is coating again and again, and after one layer is over, it is recoating. So in this case, this area cannot build. So in here you can see that a support is given so that this can build up. Okay. Local element. So we should design the part with minimum local minima. With minimum local minima, this should be reduced. This should be reduced with the local minima. Local minima. Now orientation of part with respect to recoater direction. Recoating direction, this is the recoater direction. You orient it in such a way that any part of this panel metal will not be dislodged, not be carried away, or the recoater will not carry any part of this one. So you have to go for the proper directioning of this one. Okay. In this case, the area of contact is high, chances of failure is high. Area of contact is minimum, chances of success is high. So here, the area of contact is to be reduced. It will be reduced when we talk about the orientation of the part with respect to the recoater direction. This we have discussed. This feature, the surface quality and anisotropy. The printed part shows staircase effect. You can see the staircase effect in building direction. Thus, think about the surface where you need better surface quality and choose the orientation accordingly. So the staircase effect means when you will get the first one, that in this case the surface quality will be better. In the second case, the surface quality may not be better because if one layer is placed over the another layer and they cannot perfectly match, some macro level error will be there. So in that case, you may not get the surface quality. So you have to select in the building direction, you have to take care of this staircase effect. Then anisotropy. Anisotropy means there are different elastic properties in different directions. If you go for the fused deposition model here in this part, so the anisotropy in mechanical properties, you need to think about the direction in which you need the better strength. Isotropic means the same properties, elastic properties in all the direction. Anisotropy, there is different mechanical properties or different elastic properties in different direction. So you have to choose the direction in which you need the better properties. Accordingly, this will be built up. Now, some of the design rules after discussion of this design rule, discussion of the different methods. Some of the design rules will be use of least material to reduce print time and material cost. So first rule is that you go for the topology optimization so that the material use and cost and time will be reduced. Connecting the functional surfaces intelligently and efficiently for strength, space, and better flow. This is also derivative from this topological optimization. Topological optimization. Minimize shape complexity to avoid more print time and thus cost. Minimize the shape complexity. Reduce the lattice structure inside hollow structure to minimize the print time. Obviously, when there will be less material, the print time will be less. Print orientation is important. Okay. And enabling tessellation of parts in the build volume to print more parts at the same time means tessellation means you have to put the geometrical figures side by side adjacently without overlap so that you can print a number of parts at the same time. Fillets to be induced and included as much as possible to reduce both stress, concentration, and support structure. Fillets must be reduced with the support structure. At the end. Now, so the last slides here, some of the challenges are there for people carry out research work on this. Always we talked about this topology optimization, but that is in case of a linear load case, linear requirement. So when these are non-linear one, how this can be, or the dynamic load is there, how the topology, or the functional requirement is the dynamic load is there. So in that case, how we can have the topology optimized. You can see some of the examples are there. Here you can see the cantilever having load at the end, and this one is having load at the middle, and how these are the topology is varying with respect to this load, with respect to this. So this can be the design issue, or this can be design research agenda for topology optimization. Okay. Second one is with these are topology optimization with non-linear loads. These are topology optimization with additive manufacturing specific constraints, different constraints. Here, either there is print direction is a constant, overhang angle is a constant, support structure is a constant. If you talk about these three, and if you take care of this print direction, overhang angle, and support structure, then you can have this topological optimization. First figure you can see topology results will vary based on print direction. Here, different directions are there. The second case, print direction may affect performance of parts getting printed. Removal of support structure makes DFMM complex and adds cost. Topology design with minimal support structure, with minimum overhang angle, self-supported structure, and use of support structure as structural load path. This is how we can have the topology optimization with the constant like print direction, overhang angle, and support structure for different types of materials, for different types of either the functional parts or the structural parts or aesthetic parts. This will be different for the different parts. Lattice type, which lattice to be used? There are so many lattices we have discussed, and which lattice to be used for this topological optimization. Then we can have the CAD and CA integration. This we discussed earlier. So what I was talking about is then this on the last part. So when you are printing this one, you can see in effect this is not a smooth line. Rather, these are some straight lines which are being printed over here, and this depends upon the resolution of the machine. This depends upon the resolution of the machine. Okay. And some parts can be designable, some parts can be non-designable. Now this you can make smoother and smoother by allowing various optimization algorithms, and you can generate a smooth shrink wrap from topology result. Okay. You can get a smooth path. This is another use of the CAD and CAE. This is depending upon the least count of the resolution of the machine. Also, the CAD model, if the precise CAD model will be there, this can be reduced. And finally, some key takeaways here. C is critical for design for additive manufacturing. This may be treated as a synthesis tool rather than an analysis tool. Requirement driven design. This is to frame the design flow is critical, Then optimization with non-linear case and optimization with different orientation is required. Design for additive manufacturing specific features in optimization tool. What is the objective? What are the constraints? And what are the realizations? So you develop the various methods, various processes and algorithms to take care of the optimization. Stronger CAD CAE interface. This is for the quicker design, iteration and integration. Process simulation to visualize the final part, the final printed part, which are being optimized by using all the concepts that we discussed. And generative design. Generative design means you can go for several iterations of design, or you can redesign it again and again. So as you can go for a final optimized one. Alright, these are some of the takeaways. And with this, I end here. Thank you all. If you have got any doubt. Sophia?
If you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and ask. Else you can put it in the chat box. Okay, so as there is no response from the participant side, okay, there is a query: flat structures like mask or jewelry. Can you please complete the question, madam? Means how to produce them, flat structures like mask or jewelry. What kind of support system? Okay. Okay. Any other query? Okay, sir will be joining soon. Regarding this, what is schedule time for feedback and test? Actually, I have already, repeatedly it has been conveyed that the feedback you need to submit in your portal, in your Atal portal, where you have signed up using your own email ID.
Using that email ID, you have to sign in and give the feedback at the end of the FDP. It will be open after 5 p.m. today. So after 5 p.m. onwards, you can give the feedback. And that test, a quiz test will be conducted after the third session. A link will be provided to you, and that link will be open till 7 p.m. today. So, so you need to attend the third session where you need to give the feedback. Sorry, you need to submit the quiz test, and feedback you have to give it in your portal itself. There will be no separate feedback form will be provided to you. Okay, now, sir, there is a query regarding what kind of support system we need for flat structures like mask or jewelry.
What, Seva?
What type of support system we need for flat structures like mask or jewelry?
Also jewelry.
Yes, sir.
Generally, this is not by Y or any other one. You need either a foam structure or a lattice structure for that one, for jewelry. Yeah, in that case, the projected parts may be more, okay, because with these ornamental things, projected parts may be more. So you need a continuous support, and that support maybe a foam support will be more suitable for that. Yes.
Anything else?
I don't think there is any queries from inside. So now we can
Thank you all.
putting so much effort for providing this valuable as well as informative session. Participants, you can sign out now. We'll be joining for the second session, that is at 12 o'clock. Please join prior to 10 minutes. We'll be extracting the attendance at 12 o'clock. So please join prior to that. Thank you.